Shalom, Yasharala. This your brother Dawada, coming back at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of great millstone that taught us this truth and that we will. And salutation and much love for you, Akim, pushing this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. So I want to jump into this here lesson real quick, dealing with these elites going into their doomsday bunkers, in a time when the, World War III starts popping off, all right? But nevertheless, you have to understand that these people, these elites that are going to go down into these doomsday bunkers and things like that, all right, they're going to basically be the first fruits going into captivity, all right? So they're not really escaping anything, they're going to have it a lot worse, than those that wind up dying from the nukes and the famine and things like that, because those folks, those Edomites like that, they're going to just be born into captivity. Whereas these elites, they're going to be alive and living from, seeing the transition from being up on top all the way to the point of going into captivity, being chained up. All right. So let's start here in Revelation chapter 6. I'm going to start at verse 12. It says, "And I beheld, and when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood, and the stars of heaven fell unto the ground, unto the earth, even as a fig tree casts her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. And the heavens departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places." All right, and so this is basically just describing, the nuclear destruction that's just coming down. All right, it says, verse 15, "And the kings of the earth," all right, "and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman and every free man hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains." All right, going into let me read the next verse. "And said to the mountains and the rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath is to come, and who shall be able to stand?" So this is talking about basically like the world knows it as Judgment Day. All right, when the Lord comes back. All right, but nevertheless, it says it says, verse 16, "And said to the mountains and to the rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne." So going into this, they're not saying, oh, let the rocks and the mountains and things like that crush us and fall on us. What they're talking about is basically, going into these, how they call them, basically doomsday bunkers, or what they call DUMBs, deep underground military bases. All right. But, they have a lot of these mountains that are carved out with shelters inside of them with these huge blast doors and everything like that. And it's crazy because Esau, the pride of his heart has deceived him. He thinks that he's going to be able to escape with all of that. He's like, oh, this is blast proof and everything like that. Like, I believe in World War II, when it was, what do you call it? Germany was bombing Europe. All right. You had like Winston Churchill that was hiding inside of a bunker the whole time. Right. So nevertheless, they think they're going to wind up just, what they call a continuity of government. They're going to continue on after these things. All right. But ultimately, the Lord has them in a trick bag, because before they even came over here, before they did all these different things like that, this is John that was writing these here things down. So you got to understand that before they even came over here, their game plan has already been exposed. We already know where they're going to be hiding at, into these doomsday bunkers and things like that, these underground bases and things like that. All right, this is why they're setting up the space stations and things like that. They're going to also use the weaponry and things they have up there for waging war. But hey, you got to think about it this way, man. With Jeff Bezos and them and their space program, and the other guy, Elon Musk, and everything like that, and the International Space Station, and talking about these space hotels. Like, that's where your house shot's coming from. So you're going to see him first before the people on the earth do. But nevertheless, going back into these underground bunkers that these people have, all right, like I said, their game plan has already been exposed from the jump. All right, so ultimately they're going to be preserved to go into the captivity as the first fruits. All right, let me go from there to the book of Amos. Let me read down to 5. Amos 9:1. It says, "And I saw the Lord standing upon the altar, and said, Smite the lintel and of the door, that the posts may shake, and cut them in the head, all of them, and I will slay the last of them with the sword. He that fleeth from them shall not flee away. He that escapeth of them shall not be delivered." All right, so going into their whole plan. All right. Oh, well, the Lord's coming, because they already know that the Lord is coming. This is why they're setting up the things that they're setting up, like the space force and things like that. All right, this is why they have these underground bases and things like that they have planned out. But ultimately, this is, and I will slay the last of them with the sword. He that fleeth from them shall not flee away. So, you're going to have some people that escape the sword, and he that escapeth of them shall not be delivered. So even those that go into these bunkers, all right, well, let's just keep reading. And though they dig into hell, then shall my hand take them. All right, digging into what? The ground. All right. Though they climb up to heaven, thence will I bring them down. Like I said, the International Space Station, and with Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and the other people around the world that may have space programs or may think that they can just fly into outer space into orbit, to where they can basically live out there as the attacks are coming down. It says, though they dig into hell, then shall my hand take them. And though they climb up to heaven, thence will I bring them down. And though they hide themselves in the top of Carmel, I will search and take them out thence. And though they be hid from my sight in the bottom of the sea, thence will I command the serpent, and he shall bite them. All right. So going into this thing here, again, we're reading their whole game plan. Look, they're going to try to run into the mountains. All right. Or their bases that are, carved into these mountains, because you think about it in the carnal sense, like, yo, man, if you were to, some of these people are actually digging into the sides of these mountains and things like that, which you cover by, all that stone for one. But nevertheless, if you was to go down to the base of the mountain and then dig you a tunnel up under the mountain, you got this mountain up over top of you. Not only is the whole mountain up on top of you, no matter how high the mountain is, that's even more quote unquote protection for you. All right. You'd be quote unquote a lot safer from the bombs going off and everything like that. Right. But ultimately, like I said, or like the scriptures say, the Lord already knows your game plan. All right. But these people are basically going to be, even though they're going to try to escape, they're not going to escape. All right. They're going to basically go into captivity. All right. You got your space stations up there. Hey, man, you're gonna see the chariots as they, not to say passing by you. They're going to come upon you before they even reach the earth. All right. Verse 4, and though they go into captivity before their enemies, thence will I command the sword, and they shall slay them, and I will set my eyes upon them for evil and not for good. But nevertheless, going back to, let me read verse 5. And Yahweh power of hosts, is he that toucheth the land, and it shall melt. So it's the Most High that's going to be sending these nukes. The Most High knows the whole game plan. He the one gave y'all the idea of digging into the damn earth and having these underground bases. It says, and Yahweh power of hosts is he that toucheth the land, and it shall melt. All that dwelleth therein shall mourn, and it shall rise up wholly like a flood, and shall be drowned as by the flood of Egypt. All right. So ultimately, like the scriptures say, their whole game plan has already been exposed. All right. They're still going into captivity. There's nothing they can do about it. They would have been better off standing outside as the missiles is coming down and just get evaporated by that. Instead of knowing what it's like to be living as a king on this side of the earth and going as the first fruits into captivity, man, being shackled up. And then you got to understand, these people ain't never worked a day in their life. But now, hey, man, they got to take their old decrepit ass into captivity, man. All right. But nevertheless, going back up, I forgot to speak on this verse 3. Let me read verse 3 again. And though they hide themselves in the top of Carmel, I will search and take them out thence, all right, from their underground bunkers. And though they be hid from my sight in the bottom of the sea, all right, because they also have underwater bases and bunkers and things like that as well, too. It says, thence will I command the serpent, and he shall bite them, because they're not taking it apart that they got something down there called Leviathan, all right, just like going into, when you watch the movie Godzilla and things like that. All right, Leviathan is down in the bottom of the sea. You don't think that the Most High is about to send Leviathan on their ass, man? All right, they're going to be, we hid from the dangers that's up there on the earth and the war that's going on up there. But then now all of a sudden you got something like Godzilla rolling up on you. All right. This is Psalms 149. And let me start at verse 6. Verse 5. Let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud upon their beds. Let the high praises of the Most High be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hand, to execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishment upon the people. All right. So look, the Lord's elect, all right, the saints, they're going to wind up coming out and casting out this here judgment upon these people, man. All right. When we come back down from out the chariots and everything like that, man, all right, we're going to go forth and putting people into captivity, man. All right. It says, verse 8, to bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron, to execute upon them the judgment written. This honor have all his saints. Praise ye Yahweh. So going into that, it clearly states here in verse 8, it says, uh, it says to bond the kings with chains and the nobles with fetters of iron. So this is going into the kings, right? So you have to understand why the kings, why it says the kings here, and the nobles and things like that. Because why? These are going to be the people that's going to be escaping the famine, the pestilence, the sword and war and all these different things. They're going to be preserved. They got the money, the resources, and they got everything allocated to where they can go and hide into these whoa, oh man. Nevertheless, they got these things allocated to where they can go and hide inside these bunkers and things like that under the earth. All right, but ultimately the Lord is gonna basically when we come back down, we're gonna have new bodies, spiritual powers, and things like that. All right, you think the Lord don't know where they're hiding it? All right, you got to understand where they get the ideas of doing these things, planning out this whole quote unquote escape plan. All right, because like I said, before they even came over here to America, before they was even and to this here rulership and things like that, having a dominion and the resources and things like that, the Most High had already had these things written down about them hiding in the mountains. But then also, like we just read here, it's lucky because my screen is frozen, so I can't go back. But nevertheless, like it's written here that that the saints is going to come back and bind the kings and the nobles with fetters of iron. All right, for what? Take them into captivity. So even though they may escape the so-called judgment of the nukes and everything raining down and the famine and the plagues and the wars and everything like that, all right, they ain't really escaped their judgment because ultimately they're going to wind up being the first fruits that's going to go into captivity. All right. Now I was going to read a couple verses out of Isaiah 60, but like I said, my screen is frozen, and once I close my screen, it's going to end the video, and that's just going to be it. But nevertheless, I'll just reference it in Isaiah 60. All right. When you're reading that, you're talking about how, we're going to basically be taking them into captivity, and the kings as well, too. All right. And you got to understand, well, how are they going to wind up surviving and everything like that? All right. We just read about how they're going to hide in the mountains, how they're going to hide in their space stations. Basically, the ones probably in the space station are going to probably get killed off. But the ones that's going to be down here on the earth, hiding in these underground bases and in the mountains and things like that, man. All right. The Lord's going to give us the spiritual power to be able to, hey, we might just be able to pop up into their bases and things like that, know exactly where they are, or hell, even break the doors off their hinges, man. They like to tout about how thick this here steel door is, and their private military, their private militias, and things that they have down in there. I mean, these people, a lot of these super rich people, especially like the ones you see for the government, like in Cheyenne Mountain and things like that, man. All right, they have whole militaries down here, and they can live under there for like years on end, man. All right, because of the fact that they got a huge food supply, all right, water supply, oxygen and everything else like that. These things are like luxury mansions, but underground. All right, they also have another one, or they have like basically this tunnel that was bore out from like Washington, D.C. to Denver, Colorado. All right, but nevertheless, I think Elon Musk has a business with this as well too, where they have these big boring machines where they go down underground. They just basically drill out big old holes and everything and make underground tunnels and stuff like that. They got quite a few of these things. Like you can go on YouTube and watch videos of tunnels in the mountains where they have these certain truckers, well, not certain truckers, but truckers that they can take these certain paths where they just basically driving underground the whole time for, hours on end, and they come out on the other side and everything like that. Or they have like old salt mines where they use them as storage space because they've already then, hollowed out this here salt mine and everything like that. So it leaves this big open space, and they'll wind up storing certain things inside of those things. But when you look inside, like I said, if you got enough room inside a damn mountain that they didn't carved out where you can have multiple, like a whole highway, with multiple semi trucks in there, just basically driving around, turning around, stopping and everything like that, man, you have enough space for people to be able to go in there and hide and everything. Russia did a drill where they put, I think, 40 million people or something like that in an underground bunker and everything like that. But nevertheless, hey, that's not going to wind up working out for them. You got a lot of these regular people who got these bunkers and everything else like that too, but it don't mean they're going to be able to make it to those bunkers in those days, man. For all we know, hey, like the scriptures say, some people going to be hungry and starving and thirsty, but we're going to be fed. Lord willing, I'm part of that number. The elect going to be fed. They're going to be happy. They're going to be, drinking and eating and everything else like that, man. They may be stocking up all these things in their bunkers, these regular people that are doomsday prepping and things like that, just for the minute of the Lord to come across that stockpile of food and eat, man. All right. We're going to be living as pilgrims on the earth. All right. But nevertheless, hey, the Lord may have it that this guy might have got shot off or killed off, robbed for his car on the way to his bunker. All right, and then the Lord may just lead you across his little bunker, and you got like, maybe a week, 2 weeks supply of food, and then you just move on to the next one or something like that, man. But for these elites that's gonna, their plan is to hide into these mountains and these bunkers, man. The Lord has already got you sought out, man. He's the one that put the idea in your mind to go and do these things to preserve you, to be the first fruits to go into captivity, man. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and close out with that. Lord willing, this here lesson was edifying unto the elect. So next time I say, call halal, Yahweh, Bashim, Yahweh, Bahashim, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone that taught us this truth and never will. And salutation and much love for Yakim pushing this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. So next time I say, stay strong. Shalom.